So, welcome everybody, anybody that's listening. This is episode 34 of Both Laugh, the Dying Scene Quarantine Chat Show. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done one, so I'm glad that we're back, and I'm excited to have Max Backman from Half Past Two, great Orange County punk rock ska band. Max, thanks for doing this.
No problem. Glad to be here.
We'll obviously spend most of our time talking about new music, but I like to, because we've essentially been doing this show for the duration of quarantine now, I like to sort of check in with people and see how they're doing, because I feel like we end up talking about music and whatever, and that's good, but I like to talk about how people are doing. We're going on month 13 of whatever this pandemic new normal thing is.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm very busy. I own my own business, and thankfully it's been busier during the pandemic than not, because I'm online. I'm online only. I sell comics online, and so I'm busier than ever, thankfully.
I was going to say, that's a thing that I know about you, is you're in the comic book world and you have your own business that way. And yeah, I can imagine that's once people decided they had to stay home, then that's a great thing to get into, is comic books again.
It was really scary for like a week, and then nothing slowed down, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're gonna be okay. And then it just kept growing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
been good.
good.
It's been good.
In spite of the pandemic, that's been good. I know that Orange County was in the news for sort of not so pleasant reasons today. How close to?
Oh, what happened today? I don't even know.
Oh, I heard that there was a shooting at a strip mall or something like that.
Oh boy,
this morning. I think there was.
I had no idea.
Yeah, there's like, there's. It sounds like it wasn't random. It sounds like it was the shooter knew like 4 of the victims or something like that. And but as soon as we woke up this morning, my wife said, "Oh, another shooting," and I looked and it was from Orange County, California. I was like,
wow.
Oh,
yeah, I've been working all day. I didn't see anything about it.
Well, lucky. Yeah. How are things in California? How are things in Orange County specifically, pandemic related?
I don't really go. I mean, I don't go out. So I go to work, home, in the studio. That's about it. And those are all in Orange County, but I don't really see much else that's going on. I don't need to eat out at a restaurant so bad that I mean, if people do, that's cool. But to me, it's like, I'm okay. I can keep not going to restaurants for a while, just in case. I got my first shot, so
good.
Yeah. So I'll be fully vaccinated by the end of the month, I think. So
that's great. Did you get Moderna or did you get Pfizer?
I did.
Okay.
That's Moderna.
What I got. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the drive-through at Disneyland. So
oh really?
It's very efficient, except their computer system went down. So it took like 10 extra minutes. But other than that, it was very efficient.
That's got to be a surreal thing, to go to Disneyland to get your
well, it's actually
COVID vaccine shot.
Yeah, it's in what used to be the cast member parking lot, and I was a cast member for 3 years. So
oh really?
It was like going in was like going to work.
What were you at Disneyland?
I worked in foods, which is not anything I ever wanted to do, but I ended up enjoying it enough. Yeah. I started in parking and transportation, but thankfully I had a trainer who, after the first week, said, I don't think that this is good for you. We're going to move in. I'm like, oh, thank you. Because I really did not want to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone wants attractions, but I was happy where I ended up. So I did food. I worked in the New Orleans main kitchen mostly. I started the French Market, Cafe Orleans. And then I moved mostly working in the main kitchen, which is underground, underneath where Pirates of the Caribbean is.
Oh, really? That's wild.
Yeah,
that's wild. Yeah, having never been there myself, nor will I probably. That's wild. that is another world to me. Although I do have a few friends that I've made through being connected to the punk rock community that have worked at Disneyland over the years, and to me it's such. We don't have. I live in the greater Boston area. We certainly don't have anything Disney like in this neck of the
Right.
woods. So the whole like theme park culture is totally bizarre to me.
Yeah, I was a big Disneyland fan before and after, but after with a bit of a rest period.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
After,
do you get
yeah,
jaded? I've heard people get jaded from some of the
yeah,
stories that.
yeah, for a while,
Yeah,
but I really enjoy it again now. But also, it's like I'm older now, and it's harder to get like super into things. But I still love it.
yeah,
I love it. But yeah, there was definitely like the arc of working at Disneyland, at least for me, was like, cool, this is awesome. And then it was like great, and it was like, oh, this is cool. We're backstage, and this I can see this and that, and it's awesome. And then it's like, then it's just a job for a while,
yeah,
and then towards the end, it's like, oh my god, I just want to
yeah,
get out of here.
right. 3 years is a good run though.
Yeah, it's a good run. I just the scheduling. I mean, it actually what was the nail in the coffin was we had a little tour planned, and they wouldn't give me the days off, and I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah,
That was honestly that was I don't know how it is now, but that was the most difficult part about working there, was the scheduling was not forgiving of
yeah.
someone who wanted to do anything but work.
That's
I saw
sort of
people get
that's sort
I
of
saw people
surprising.
get denied. Well, without getting too much into the weeds on
Yeah,
this,
right.
scheduling is its own department. So that led to issues where the schedulers see this location needs this many people in this position for this amount of time on this day. And that's what they do. Now, if the manager of that location, you could go to them and say, look, they scheduled me this day. I need the day. I really need the day off. You know that you can get by without
Yeah,
me. And they'll be like,
right.
okay, yeah. And they'll like override it. But that was the problem. It's like the schedulers are just filling slots. They
Oh
don't
wow.
have the like on hand experience to
Yeah,
say,
right.
okay, like we can really get by for one shift without someone, so it's okay.
Wow.
But yeah,
That,
maybe it's
that
different now. I hope it's different now.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
the biggest problem there was scheduling. Was like this wasn't for me, but like I saw people like my brother's wedding. Nope. And then you can
Wow.
call out
Right.
the reverse side of that coin is I feel that their time off or like call in policy was very fair if you work the system, because it's like points, and you get a certain amount of points for being late, certain amount of points for calling in, and then they roll out of your record after 6 months or whatever. So you could call in for 5 consecutive work days on the same 3 points. And since when I was during the school year, I was in college, I only worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you worked it right, you could literally take off Saturday, Sunday, then you'd be off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you could still call in Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the same 3 points. So if you really wanted to, you could work it and be off for like 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
But the thing is, most people weren't that smart about it, and they'd be like, call in for one day. I'm like, oh, you just wasted your 3 points.
Yeah,
At
right.
least I know you need money probably, but take an extra day at least.
That's wild. That has to be like a system that Disney itself came up with and
Oh yeah.
created.
No,
That's
I think to me it worked great.
yeah.
It worked great. Yeah.
Maybe because I've never worked at such a gigantic like a behemoth of a place that's
Right.
wild to me. Even just having its own scheduling department and not just
Right.
going to Tom, your manager, or whatever. Like that's
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. There's like, well, at the time they said there was like 20,000 people that work there, and I think now it's probably close to 30. I'm not 100% sure, but they've expanded so much. And I stopped working there in 2008, so it's been a minute.
That's crazy. So did you end up going on the tour that you had planned? Did you just not show up to work
Yeah,
anymore?
no,
Oh, that's
we
awesome.
went. No, I quit.
Yeah,
I quit.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I really wanted to anyway. So
yeah. That's a long time. To me, that would be my nightmare, is having to work at a theme park, I think, for years at a time.
well, if I didn't get to work in the main kitchen, which was not obviously not an area where guests were. It would have been worse, I think, but it was pretty relaxing down in that kitchen for the most part. It started to get a little more strict, and that's when I wanted to quit. But for the longest time, it was a kind of situation where as long as the work gets done, no one bugs you. And so we would take long breaks and long lunches, way more than we were supposed to, but the work was done.
Right.
And the chefs that were in charge, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
Everyone was on the same page, and we're just like bucking the system by getting our work done and then taking long breaks. And then a new chef came in, and it was like that was over. And I was like, oh.
So part of the reason that I started doing this, what has become a podcast, that wasn't my intention at first, but 2020 is what it is. But part of what I wanted to do at first was to talk to people who had plans canceled, especially that had, whether it was tours or whether it was album stuff that they had to put on hold, et cetera, et cetera. And then it sort of morphed into talking about, what did you do to stay busy, to stay connected, to stay productive? And frankly, some people didn't. But so had 2020 not happened the way that it did, what would it have looked like for Half Past Two? What did you have kind of on the radar?
I think our plans, honestly, that came out of it were better than what we had planned without it.
Yeah.
We were way more active. I mean, one of the well, I mean, it sucks to phrase it this way, but one of the best things about the situation was that our friend and David Irish, who we record everything with, he splits his time between owning and running a studio and being the tour manager for the Interrupters. So no tours means he's home. So literally every week since it started, like we just moved rehearsal. We didn't want to go to the rehearsal studio, but he has a nice, safe, controlled environment. And so we've just been there every week. So that's been fun. We just did demos and we got everything. We've been working on our album, and it's been great just having I'm super busy with work. I work like 90 hours or more a week. And that, like, Wednesday nights is my oasis of I get to go to the studio and I don't have to, well, honestly, I do work on my computer while I'm there, but it's kind of an oasis if someone else is tracking or whatever. But so that's been great. And I feel like what the other big positive is, it's brought a lot of people and bands from all over the country. I mean, the world, but especially like within the country together. And we've just made a lot of connections and gotten to do some collaborations. And that part has been really cool. And that, it could have happened regardless, but everything was like, what are we going to do? Okay, let's put together this. Tara had this idea to do the Dance Hall Crashers cover of Lost Again.
That was great.
Yeah.
Because Dance Hall Crashers were one of my first favorite punk ska bands and whatever. So that was great.
Yeah. And Talina, the other singer on that, her old band, Karate in the Garage, they actually covered it with Tara and I guesting live a couple times. And we're just like, let's do it. And then we're like, okay, who are we going to get? And we had toured with Mustard Plug. I was like, oh, the drummer from Mustard Plug.
Yeah.
Oh, who are we gonna get to play bass? And like I asked Brent from We Are the Union. He's like, I think Jared would play bass. So like, that would be cool because he has his own following at Ska Tune Network. And then we got Tim from Catbite, and they have their own thing. And it's like that thing blew up.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that thing went crazy. Plus we got to do a bunch of we donated I forget what we donated to, which is bad, but we did sell the single for charity.
Well, in a way, it's good because you and a lot of bands have raised a lot of money for a lot of charities, and so sometimes if you forget which one, it's because there's been a bunch of them. Like I know there was the Ska Against Racism compilation and whatnot.
And we're on that. So that was great. Like I don't know if that would have happened with at all. Like would that record have happened at all? I don't know. Would we have been on it? I don't know. So that was really cool. Like I never would have thought we could be on something that was released by Asian Man
Right.
Records.
Right.
That's crazy. Like I sometimes when I just like stumble on the box of them I have, I'll look at the back with our name on it,
Yeah.
and the other bands and the logos, and I'm like, how did this happen? This is crazy.
How did that happen? How did you get hooked up with Asian Man?
All credit goes to Phil from Ska Punk Daily for that
Okay.
one. Because he was a fan of ours from before we even restarted the band in 2014, before he started Ska Punk Daily. And we've just, Tara especially has been friends with him online, gotten to be good online friends. We've only met him one time. It was at Back to the Beach in the big ska punk festival in 2012. No, 2019. And so, yeah, he's all credit to Phil for getting us on that.
Yeah, that's gotta be a surreal thing as like a longtime student of the scene, right? Like Mike Park is that sort of like figurehead that even still, if the times that I've had to email him for a few things, it's like, whoa, yeah, but that's Mike Park.
Yeah.
He's like one of those figures, and he's just a guy. He runs a record label out of his mom's garage or whatever still, but like, but that's Mike Park. Like that's Mike from Skank and Pickle. That's
yeah. And then I went to his I think it was his 50th birthday party shows, or was it an anniversary of Asian Man? I don't know. It was in the fall of 2019. Jack, who plays trombone with us, and I went up to San Francisco for those shows, and it was incredible. As Bruce Lee band played both nights, and Slow Gherkin played, and
yeah.
I have always been a huge Slow Gherkin fan, but the timing of when they stopped playing I never got to see them originally. They did one-off show in Santa Cruz, and I didn't know about it. And I even had a friend that went to it, and he didn't even tell me. I'm like, what? You drove to Santa Cruz to see Slow Gherkin by yourself and didn't even tell me it was happening and ask if I wanted to go? You literally drove to and from Santa Cruz in the same night by yourself.
What? Now, for an East Coaster's sake, how long is it from where you are in Southern California to Santa Cruz?
Like 5 or 6 hours.
That's insane. That's like, so from where I live, just north of Boston, that's like here to Philadelphia, essentially. Except you're still in the same state, so somehow it makes sense that you can just go up the coast to go to Santa Cruz and come back. You wouldn't go from here to Philadelphia and back. That's nuts.
Well, it doesn't really make sense. That's why he was dumb.
Right. Fair enough.
But he did it. Anyway, so that was awesome. I finally got to see Slow Gherkin, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
Actually, and then they played, maybe I'm getting the timeline messed up, because they also played at the Glass House. So maybe I saw them before that. I don't know. I got to see them twice in the last few years. I forget what the order was, but
yeah, if they came here, it was it had to 20 plus years ago, and it would have had to be like early 2000s. Yeah, I have no recollection of them being here. I have no recollection of Skank and Pickle being here. They were one of those bands that you sort of got into through, realistically, probably through the Bosstones. Like, I know that Boston isn't a huge hotbed for ska core, except that the Bosstones sort of invented it, or at least Dickie Barrett likes to say that the Bosstones invented it. So we always had like that hub. So that was sort of our introduction to the whole entire world of ska music, really, from probably 91 or 92 on, was through the Bosstones. So I mean, we had a little scene, but like everywhere, the scene sort of died out. But Orange County seems to have sort of kept the flame lit for the last however many years. Mostly
there's ups and downs, but mostly I think right now there's no shows, but I feel like in the last couple of years, like some of the bands were dwindling off, and I was like, oh man, there's not a lot of bands coming up. But I think that's going to change. I think that's changed over the pandemic, and I think we'll come back stronger. like we've lost one of our core bands with Stupid Flanders, and they're done because one of their bass player moved to Arizona. Well, I guess they might do stuff. I don't think they're planning on it though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but we have us, and we have Hooray for Our Side, and there's other smaller bands. Sorry, I didn't. That sounded really douchey.
No.
Not smaller bands. There are other bands,
Right.
like
Well,
like Beyond Advantage and Meddlers and Stepdaughters. There's some great bands around here.
It seems also like the music itself has sort of transitioned from being what everybody listened to, obviously in the early and mid 90s, and then for whatever reason, and it's a thing that I still haven't wrapped my head around, it obviously became sort of a punchline, but it feels like that has sort of switched again. It feels like we're into this. I hate to use like the wave terminology because I think that that's weird and I don't even know what it means, truthfully.
Yeah.
But it seems like we're in a good place with ska music, ska core, whatever you want to call it now. That it's not only more like accepted, which again is a weird word to use, but it seems like it's people like it again, and that there's really good bands doing it again. I don't know why now necessarily, but I'm glad that it's here.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know why now either. There have been great bands all along, but it's definitely feels like it's growing a lot right now. The jokes are still there, and we make fun of ourselves too. That's to me that's one of the fun parts of being a ska band, is just like owning it.
Yeah,
like so what?
But to me, it was always that way. I mean, the names were always sort of a punchline, right? Yeah. You had to have ska in your name at some, like there was that rule for a while there, but that was part of the joke. And that doesn't mean that the bands sucked. Maybe that part was a little gimmicky, but like they were still good. Like Skavuvi and the Epitones is still a good band. And so the band seemed to be in on the joke the whole time.
Yeah.
And yet, then at some point, it sort of like, the paradigm shifted and
it became like an external joke instead of an internal joke.
Yeah, right. I'm glad we can make fun of ourselves again.
No, I mean, yeah, we talk about that a lot. It's like, man, I would hate to be in one of these other scenes where it's very serious, but and also the other thing is, yeah, it's a smaller scene of potential fans or listeners, but there's also a lot less, like there's a lot fewer bands. Like there's a ton of pop punk bands and emo bands and metal bands, and it's like, but there's not that many ska bands.
Yeah.
So it's easier. I think it's a little bit easier to find an audience.
And I think once you get closer to like the age of 40, there's a lot of bearded guys wearing flannel shirts playing acoustic guitars and whatever, and that's good. That's fine. I don't mind that. That especially that some of the older, harder core guys have transitioned to that. But there's only so many bearded white guys with acoustic guitars you can listen to, and I say that as a bearded white guy with a Martin acoustic right over there, right? So, at what point did you guys decide to pivot to what 2020 became, and sort of like really hunkering down in the studio working on the new music that we've heard so far, the album you've got coming out? There's been a bunch of like covers and cool videos that you've done what seems like monthly for the last towards the end of 2022. At what point did you sort of pivot and say, okay, whatever we had planned, that ain't gonna work?
I mean, maybe like a month in.
Yeah.
I feel like we started working on the covers right away, but we didn't start going to the studio because everything was uncertain then, and we didn't want to not be safe. And a couple members have extra health concerns beyond what an average person might. So it took a while, but then we got back in the studio, and we used to do a lot of acoustic cover videos, but Tara had kids, I have a job, a more demanding job,
right?
And we're still obviously been very active with the band, but then kind of some of that ancillary stuff. Like I look at the YouTube, I was like, man, we barely did any videos after a while.
Yeah.
So like, okay, let's get back to that. And how do we do that now? And we did start doing, just at our normal rehearsal time on Wednesday nights, we would just do Zoom meetings and just check in on everyone and be like, all right, what are we gonna do? So yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the album may have come out last year. Like originally that was the plan, but that still may not have happened because we didn't have the whole thing written. We still don't have the whole thing written. We are working on that now, where we started the songs that we rehearsed and then started recording in September. We rehearsed them like through the summer and then started recording in September. We're almost 100% done with those. That includes the 3 singles we released: Shine, All About You, and Mean Green. It includes the next single, which comes out May 5th. It's called Some Nights. And then there's 4 other songs that I'm not sure if any of them are going to be singles or not, because I think we might take a little bit longer between singles, just to, we don't want everyone to hear the whole album before it actually comes out. And we're planning to release it in October at the moment.
Okay. So you figure you're like halfway done?
A little bit more than halfway done. Like we really wanted to kind of have more songs than we needed and then whittle it down. And we do it, but not like fully done songs. So I think now we're feeling we really want to get this done. So we're going to take a look at all the songs we have in various stages of development and just say like, okay, we need to pick 5 and we need to get those 5 done.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting there.
Has writing been easier or harder or different? Maybe not easier or just different since
harder
like
and
this
different.
new
Harder and different. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like we were in a pretty good groove, Tara and I and Jack and others in and out, and Jack in and out, but at least me and Tara were getting in a groove of doing a writing session like every Sunday. And that's where Mean Green came out of. So we got that, which was great, because that's one of my favorites from the batch that we're working on.
That's a great song. That's legitimate. Like, yeah. I mean, I like your music anyway. That's legitimately a great song.
Thank you. Yeah, that one, I feel like it's everything that we do, but just amped up, and the ultimate like 2:30 song. It has the ska parts, it has the pop punk parts, it has the guitar solo, it has the synth parts, it has the horn. It's like what we do, but all there in your face.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like formulaic. Like it doesn't just check the boxes. Like here's the synth part, here's the solo. That's a really good song. Did you know when you were writing it that like, ooh, this one has something?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because that's
it's okay to say that.
Yeah, no, I did. Because if I don't feel like they do, honestly, I'm not really inspired to keep working on it. I personally am not a very prolific songwriter. It takes me a long time, and I have to get that spark before it really clicks. Jack is amazing. I can like when we decided we were gonna, when we talked to Phil about doing the Ska Punk Daily theme song, I was like, Jack, Ska Punk Daily theme song. He's like, got it. And he's like, he just wrote it. I'm like, whoa. And then Tara wrote the lyrics and it was done.
Yeah.
Jack is amazing. He's a machine. David is very prolific. He's not as fast as he used to be because, he's a family man now too, but he has written, I don't even know. I have to ask him, but I feel like he's written like 100 songs that no one's ever heard. But he's had various bands in the past, and he's done his own like solo stuff, and he just has written a ton. Me, I'd have to count it, but I think I've probably written like less than 20 songs. And so that one I was like, okay, I got this. This is good.
Yeah.
I can work on this.
Did the other guys write on guitar too, or because I know Jack plays trombone and
Jack. No, yeah,
David
Jack
plays
Jack
everything, but
Jack is an incredible guitar player. He is, and I'm not. He wouldn't balk at this because he says it like he's a much better guitar player than he is a trombone player. we kind of have this joke like there's 4 people that play guitar in the band, and me, who's actually one of the people that actually plays guitar in the band for real, is the worst of all 4. I mean, I think
rock.
we were just talking about this. We were talking about this last night. I feel like the 4 of us all have different strengths. So, Cameron and myself are the guitar players of the band, but we have no ego in the studio of like who is going to play this part the best. So Jack plays guitar on the album and David plays guitar on the album as well. There's one song, it's a song that David wrote, and he played all of the guitar for it. Every part, all the rhythm parts, all the lead parts.
Yeah.
Some nights, the next single, Jack wrote it, and there's a guitar solo, and it was just kind of felt like it was more in a style that Jack is great at soloing at, a different style than Cam. Like Cam could definitely play it, but it's just kind of different than what he normally does. So Jack played the guitar solo on that one. And that's kind of goes like, especially if like David, and usually David's there, at least David, if not Jack, when I'm recording my guitar. And if it's like, you would do this better than me, just do it.
Well, that's good that you don't have the ego about it though, because that would get in the way. Like really
it
quickly.
Used to when we were younger. When we were younger, things got bad. But things were like, I gotta do this, and just throw the guitar down and walk away. And but not anymore, thankfully.
There's a great band from Boston that I've become very friendly with over the years. They're called Rebuilder, and they formed sort of out of the ashes of this other band, except that they didn't want to just keep the same guys and like just make a new band. So there's essentially 3 really good drummers in that band, and the best guitar player in the band is the drummer. So like there's 2 guitar players and a bass player, and they have all played drums and other things, but they're the guitar players and the bass player. And the guy he's a phenomenal guitar player, which I never really knew at first because I knew him and drums for this band. That's basically the first band he's really played drums in. He's the best guitar player in the band, and he doesn't play guitar in the band.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that. Like I like when, because I at some level I think it feels like it keeps the sound interesting and it keeps the sound sort of fresh. And so people are open to trying new things, and I think that's cool. You guys did a pretty successul Kickstarter campaign a handful of years ago for the last album. Is that sort of going to be the goal this time, or?
It is not.
Okay. Or if there's things that I'm asking that are like we haven't announced that yet, then
no. Like I'll say that. No. Yeah, there is something that isn't announced yet, but we'll have a partner for releasing this record. I'll just say that for now. Yes.
That feels positive.
It is. It is. It's a good thing.
It's one thing to have a really, what did you like 400 something % on the Kickstarter, or of the initial goal?
I'm always very self-deprecating, and I'll say we set the goal low because but I was happy with it. We got what we needed to get. We made the records. It was a learning experience. I feel like at a certain point you're like, oh, I'm gonna have these records in my garage forever, but I don't think they're gonna sell out anytime soon. But we've sold an amount I'm happy with, and it's been almost 4 years since the record came out, and then it's actually the LP physical records I think came out more on the 3 year ago side. It was late 2017 that we actually got them in hand.
Did you put a number on how many you would be happy with if you sold that many? Do you know what I mean? Like, did you have
Oh,
a bar for yourself where if we sell 600, that'll be awesome. If we sell 300, that'll be awesome. Like, or because I know you said
not.
you've sold an amount that you're comfortable having
Yeah.
sold.
Well, back then, like we hadn't done a vinyl record, and
Yeah.
we didn't know really at all, and it was just like finding out what we had to do to press it and what we'd be locked into to get things done. We had to make 500, which was a plus or minus 10%, and we ended up with 545, of course. So almost the whole plus 10%.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're down to we have less than 250, so we've sold over half of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that seems good.
Yeah, and I hope, I think and hope that with this next record release and the promotion it's going to get, that other people will be looking to get that one as well. But I'm certainly not like, oh man, these records, like I mean, they sell and I'm happy, and it's all of the happiness is just that someone likes us enough to want our record on vinyl, not thank you, this is out of my life. It's not that.
Yeah.
I will hold on. I don't throw anything from the band away, so I will hold on to them forever if that's what it takes.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to when you inevitably announce who your partner is, because I might have a few ideas bouncing around in my head that I won't say.
It's not too hard to figure out, but yeah.
That's cool. Good for you guys.
Thank you.
So one of the things you guys have obviously been a band for a long time, so you've seen the scene change and then change again, and the economics of the scene change and then change again, and who knows what they will be as we dig our way out of whatever 2020 was. Do you feel like you would start a ska band now?
Yeah.
Knowing what you do?
Oh yeah. Of course. There's been a period of time where I wasn't in the band. Too much of a backstory to get into. There's been a period of time where Tara wasn't in the band.
Yeah.
And it's not like my life sucked during those times, but when we got the band back together, when Tara and I met and hadn't talked in a number of years, I left that conversation, meetup, that lunch, and was like, this is what we need to be doing, because now I understand. Like I said, I wasn't miserable or anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't unhappy, but I was like, wait, no, this is what makes sense. We're supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
And it would feel wrong not to do it.
Trying to figure out the best way to phrase this, has the expectation of the band changed, and maybe that's what helps to sort of keep it going now, in that, like, if you first started whatever 2006 or whatever, are the expectations for the band now different than they were then, and is that maybe what helps keep it going positively?
I honestly don't think the expectations are different. From day one, it's just been, we want to play music for people, and the more people that we can get to listen to it, the better. And let's just see how far this can go. That's what it was. That is what it is now. It's like, okay, we've done this. What else can we do? We haven't done this. Let's try that. We haven't done this. Let's do that. That was the whole thing. But with the record, it's like, we've never done a vinyl record. Let's do a vinyl record.
Right.
Okay, cool. We did it. We haven't done, we hadn't done a tour in a while, and okay, we got to do a tour, and we did another one.
Yeah.
And like, what else can we do? Now we're going to be flying out to play Supernova in Virginia in September.
Ooh.
And that's the first time we've ever,
fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah. Right.
As long as it seems like if the trajectory everyone is on right now stays that way, it'll be cool. Of course, there's always where we're not going to think it's 100%, because we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And that's the first time that we've gotten an offer to get a fly out. First time playing like a big festival like that. First time playing on the East. Well, that's considered the East Coast, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, have you been to the East Coast for shows before?
No. I mean, I've personally visited once, twice, but I haven't been not in whew, since I was in 8th grade. is when I went to is when I went to is when I went to Washington D.C. and New York. So whew, yeah, that was a long time ago.
Which is funny because having lived maybe an 8-hour drive from Washington D.C., I've never been.
Wow.
Yeah.
I went there. I went there twice.
There.
My dad took me, and we did that whole thing. And then there was an 8th grade, end of middle school trip.
Yeah.
And that was in 99 or 2000. That was the school year. So
yeah,
it's been a minute.
My daughter's in 7th grade. She's finishing 7th grade, and the 8th grade trip still is to go to Washington D.C. for. I was like, well, I'm gonna have to chaperone that one because I've never been. My 8th grade didn't go to Washington D.C. even though we're on the East Coast. That's bizarre.
Yeah. So that's and that's gonna be fun. I hope we're planning for it to happen and hoping that nothing gets in the way. There's always been people saying, come to the East Coast, come here, come there. And it's like, well, it's hard because this isn't our job.
Right.
And we've never been under the illusion that it would or could be.
Yeah.
Not that anyone who wants it to be is delusional. I don't mean to say that, but I don't know that may have been a thought back in the old days when things started picking up and we did a pick it up. We did the little tour with Real Big Fish, and it's like, okay, maybe something's gonna happen, but then everyone's egos got in the way, and the band kind of,
yeah.
And since then, it's like I said, it's just seeing what we can do. We're not trying to the band costs money. Well, anything that we get, anything we get back 9 of you is just bonus.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to put 4 people and a tour manager and a merch guy in a van and go across country. Right. There's a lot of dead areas in the middle of the country. And so to try to do that again with 4 people, never mind with 9 people and all of the that entails doesn't seem like it would make sense to me. Maybe I know the economics of the scene are different, so bands could do it a little easier in the early and mid 90s, but I feel like on a large scale that hasn't been the case for quite a while. Yeah, unless you're content with living in the van. You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't think there's a lot of for lack of a better word, again, not to sound douchey, but like mid-level bands like the Toasters and Mustard Plug that Toasters pretty much tour nonstop, but the guys in Mustard Plug all have other jobs.
Right.
They don't do it all the time, and they're a popular band. But it's great that they can still at this point play and tour and make that work with being quote unquote adults.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just our goal, is just like, let's see what we can do. There's kids, people have kids. I work all the time and, but we'll make it work.
Will you be able to work while you're in Virginia, or are you actually going to take time off?
I'll be on my computer for sure, because I'm too paranoid about things going on with my business.
Yeah. But I have read stories very recently about Weezer, and when Rivers from Weezer was the band's manager for a long time, but then when he was doing on the bus, when he was doing like band manager stuff on the computer, he would put a suit on. So he was being like the manager guy. He'd dress differently. He'd put a suit on. He'd sit at the computer. That's so bizarre. I don't want to take up too much of your evening. I'm excited for the new music that you guys have coming up. Hopefully October is a realistic goal. Hopefully 2021 goes according to plan.
We're gonna make it happen. Setting the deadline is the first step to getting things done. It's a lot, to me, it's a lot easier to get things done when you have a deadline, because you have to figure it out, obviously. That's what the deadline is, like, figure it out, get it done. Okay, here we go.
From what we've heard so far, you guys are off to a good start.
Thank you.
Like I said, Me and Green, All About You is a great song. Mean Green's a great song. Like, so
I think people are gonna really. I think you're really gonna like the next one. Some nights, May 5th.
May 5th. What is it now? Oh, it's April. It's April
It's
Fool's
April
Day.
1st. Yes. So it's a Thursday. So it's about a month away. It's like 5 weeks from yesterday, I think.
Even knowing that it's
yep.
April 1st, I had to drive through a snowstorm today. So in my mind, it became January again.
I hate April Fool's Day just because everyone tries to be funny and put these news stories online, and you're like, that's not like. Anyway.
Yeah, and most of them suck, frankly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
most of them suck. Oh, I wrote what I thought was a pretty good one a few years ago about something to do with Fat Mike and getting sober or whatever. And he actually messaged me that he liked it. Like he thought that was the only,
that's awesome.
The only funny one. Cause I posted pictures of like AA meeting chips and shit like that. And like, I got really kind of in detail. He was like, that was actually really good.
The ones that are over the top are fine. But like people will sneak like these very plausible things in. It's just like, nope. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big collector of toys, action figures, which
sure,
right there. And there's all kinds of like, it's people just posting, oh look what's back in stock, and it's like, oh god, like this $300 figures up on this site for $50. Like, no, it's not. Someone just did a really quick, easy Photoshop and tricked people.
Yeah, right. Oh, that would suck though if you had your heart on something and you forgot what day it was and you check and you look and you're like, oh shit.
Exactly.
That is not my world, thankfully. Thanks for taking the time. Like I said, I'm gonna try to post everything tomorrow. That way I can because tomorrow's Bandcamp Friday, so hopefully that sort of adds a little plug for Mean Green and for all the other music that you have on Bandcamp. Hopefully people buy most of it because it's going to a good cause. Cool. Yeah, right. Thanks for chatting, and
thank you.
Good luck with new music, and maybe we'll talk again when the actual announcements come about who you're partnering with and all that.
Happy to do it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Nice to meet you.
All right. Have a good night.
Nice. You too.
Yeah. Have a good night.